World-famous dictators possessed unlimited power. In their hands was the fate of not only the state, but also of every person who lived in it, including the fate of their own children. Could we say that the tyranny of the fathers didn't affect their families, and that their children were swimming in rivers of money, love and understanding, while the country was drowning in rivers of blood? Let's see. Here are 5 children of dictators and their unenviable fate. Let's get it on. Joseph Stalin's son. The leader of the Soviet Union, Joseph Stalin, had 3 children. The eldest, born from his first marriage, was called Yakov. This happy and sociable 13-year-old boy moved from Georgia to Moscow to live in his new home, the Kremlin. But back then, Yakov could not have imagined that this house would become for him a true prison, with the strictest overseer of that time, his father. The boy, who seemed to have it all, had nothing. His father didn't even scold him, but beat him for any little prank. All punishments ended in the same way. Yakov was kicked out into the hallway, where he had to spend the night like a dog on the floor. Yes, he was treated like a dog. His own father never called him a son. That is how the sociable boy Yakov became a shy and taciturn young man. Despite the fact that with a flick of a finger his father could have opened any doors for him, Yakov had to achieve all by himself. However, each one of his actions was subject to strict control by his father, and leaded to criticizing and beating. When Yakov decided to marry his classmate, Stalin categorically said, "So now you want your family to live at my expense also." It was this false grandeur and infallibility of the Soviet leader that the kind nature of his son couldn't bear. He wanted at least sometimes to feel near himself, not the father of the nations, but a dad. Jacob decided to commit suicide and shot himself in Stalin's apartment kitchen, but it was unsuccessful, and even that didn't get Stalin's attention. He just said to him some sharp words. "Ha, you missed the target." Yakov couldn't stand that anymore and went to St. Petersburg, where he got married, but soon he went to the war and then was taken prisoner. Rumor has it that it was his own father who treated him with such hatred, for the one who arranged the capture of Yakov. Still, no one really knows whether it was true or not. Francisco Franco's daughter. Carmen Franco was the daughter of the famous Spanish dictator Francisco Franco. Despite the fact that Franco was extremely happy with her appearance, a difficult childhood awaited the little girl, because his father's dictatorship spread into the family. From a young age, Carmen was treated with severity. Francisco Franco wanted so much to raise her like a lady that he could raise a hand to her daughter for any prank. Even when Carmen grew up and decided to marry a wealthy merchant, her father not only didn't give his consent, but imprisoned the girl in the family estate. After her marriage, Franco only once allowed her daughter to visit her husband's family, and it was only for the christening of her child. Many years later, in an interview, Carmen will say that despite the love for her father, she did not care for him to be a dictator. Carmen lived constantly in fear of the fact that some of her father's enemies could reach up to her. Moreover, and not without reason, Franco himself for a long time hid his daughter because he was afraid that Hitler might kidnap her. The daughter of Benito Mussolini. The fate of the oldest daughter of the founder of Italian fascism, Eda Ciano Mussolini, wasn't easy. In the mid-20s, her desperate father didn't allow her to marry a Jewish industrialist, depriving her, as she thought, of the possibility to be happy, and perhaps to embrace the Jewish faith as she was willing to do. Later in 1930, a magnificent wedding was held in Rome, but with Count Galeazzo Ciano, Mussolini's confidant in all matters related with foreign policy, a journalist and diplomat who made a stormy career as a minister. But Ciano became an active participant in the conspiracy against Mussolini, and at the trial in Verona was sentenced to death. Eda failed to save her husband and ran away to Switzerland disguised as a peasant woman. With her, she took her husband's diaries about the war, in which he disclosed many details of the participation of the Italian fascist regime during World War II. But Eda started to miss her homeland and returned to Italy, where she was immediately detained and sentenced to 2 years of exile on the island of Lipari for complicity in fascism. Eda Mussolini lived to a ripe old age and tried not to recall her despotic father. She died at 84 years old, having lived a long but hard life. Pol Pot's daughter. Cambodian dictator Pol Pot is known by the fact that in 4 years after coming to power, he destroyed a third of the country's population. After his overthrow, that became an obstacle to a peaceful life for his wife and 14-year-old daughter, Sita. During the reign of Pol Pot, there was not even one family in the country that had not lost at least one loved one because of him. Constant death threats forced the mother to move with Sitter often and to live under different pseudonyms. After several years of wandering, the woman appealed to the government, and they finally gave her and her daughter an apartment in the capital. But problems were far to be over. They refused to pay them pension, and it took a lot of time for Sitter to get a job. No one wanted to have anything to do with the daughter of a bloody dictator. The son of Hitler. Adolf Hitler and his only wife Eva Braun didn't have children. But according to some sources, during World War I, being a German soldier, Hitler had a love affair with a French woman. The result was Jean-Marie, the illegitimate son of the Führer. French people didn't like kids like Jean-Marie and the boys of German soldiers. Therefore, he was often teased and beaten by his peers. There was no one to protect him, since his mother went to Paris and left him with her parents. After his grandparents died, he was adopted by the Fritzen family, and thanks to them, the boy was able to finish a boarding school and join the army. Along with the resistance movement, he fought through the whole war, and he didn't even suspect against whom he was fighting. He fought not just against the bloody dictator, he fought against his own father. This news, received from his mother before her death, knocked down Jean-Marie. His wife left him, and the next 20 years he worked really hard. He did not allow himself any weekends, holidays, or entertainment in order to forget about who his father was. Until now, historians are still divided into those who are positive about Jean-Marie Laurette Fritzen being the son of Hitler and those who do not believe it. Now think about how many dictators like these had existed in the history of mankind, and how many tyrants live among us. Of course, we don't get to choose our parents, but the future of our children depends on us. Notorious wealth and glory will never replace real parental affection.
Thanks for watching. Please like and share the video in social networks, and we'll be right back to you as fast as we can.